There are some scenarios where you want to have your dominant hand in front. You know, if you're a right-handed fighter fighting southpaw, left-handed fighter fighting orthodox, and that goes for fighting, combat sports, or even self-defense. Now, in my last video, I did say that there's no such thing as a right-handed southpaw, but then I supplied a lot of context. But I guess maybe I was unclear because out of 1,000 comments, only like 5 dudes actually argued with anything that I really said in the video. Commenting on videos that you didn't watch is a weird thing that people do on the internet. The internet's a weird place anyway, but writing a comment on something you didn't actually watch or read is like one of the strangest things. Because what do you think that comment does? Like, where do you think it goes? And what do you think happens because of it? I don't get that. A lot of people in that video commented when I said no such thing as a southpaw. People already started commenting, what about Vasily Lomachenko? What about Loma? Which is funny because in the video, I addressed Lomachenko and, made it clear why what I was talking about didn't apply to him. Some people were saying, are you saying that if Lomachenko were to switch to orthodox, the way you're saying is correct, he would be better? No, I'm not saying that. You should use whatever tools and weapons are available to you. Just switching stances is not the tool that he's using to be great. Lomachenko is not just switching stances. He's switching stances while being Lomachenko. That tool is not available to me or you. And it wasn't just Lomachenko. A lot of people were like, tell that to Marvin Hagler. What about the Diaz brothers? Naming all these like elite, high level or famous or, very successful professional fighters. But you're not them, which I covered in that video. People were like, so you're saying never switch stances, which is dumb, because in the video I said I switch stances. You should switch stances in these scenarios. I gave examples of when it was a good time to switch stances. So we'll cover that in this video, why you would want to stand with your strong side forward, including Bruce Lee, Jeet Kune Do, weapons, grappling. We're going to cover all of that. The most common and I think most reasonable one is people talked about, I'm a grappler. I'm like a wrestler or a judo player or something like that. And when I incorporate striking, I don't want to switch because I lead with my strong leg. And that's a good point. And a couple guys asked me, so which should I do if I want to be good at striking, but I also want to incorporate my grappling? Maybe you're doing MMA or maybe this is like self-defense or whatever. I am not a grappling expert. The context of that video was mainly a beginner on his first day wanting to stand in the incorrect stance, and he doesn't know any better, and he's trying to learn about punching and kicking people. That was the context. If it's your first day and you want to learn punching and kicking, stand the correct stance. I didn't wrestle before any of my other training, so my training was punching and kicking and using a pistol. So I adopted the same stance for all of that, which kind of touches on how I think you should do this. If you are mainly a wrestler and mainly a grappler, and you wrestle and grapple really well with your strong leg forward, you should probably learn a lot of striking like that. But I also think you should approach each martial art with an empty cup. So if you're an amazing wrestler and you're trying to learn striking, punching and kicking, people that don't want to be punched and kicked, that's what I mean when I say striking. I mean like in an actual fight. Then I think you should go with an empty cup, learn it, and then combine the two. Even if it's two complementary styles, like say you're a really good wrestler, but you want to learn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I think you should just abandon the wrestling temporarily, focus on learning just with the empty cup, just the way that instructor is teaching you, and then reincorporate what you know later. That's my personal opinion. But if you're using your striking to primarily set up takedowns or make your way into the clinch, then you should probably stand wherever you grapple strongest from. I learned to wrestle from orthodox stance, even though I'm right-handed and right-legged. Consequently, I'm not that great at it. A lot of people mentioned like stick fighting or weapons fighting. I was trained to use weapons in my dominant hand with my dominant hand in the rear. Consequently, I'm not that good at stick fighting. But this is all anecdotal. Maybe the reverse is true. Maybe, if you are a stick fighter or you're a grappler and you try to incorporate striking only from that stance, maybe it'll suffer. The answer probably is that you should train both. You should spend some time in orthodox and some time in southpaw. And there was a bit of an argument over how much. A lot of guys said you should do them equally. You should spend an equal amount of time in orthodox and an equal amount of time in southpaw. This is not an opinion. That's wrong. That's bullshit. That's a very, very long road to being good at your strong side. You should spend the vast majority of your time training similar to how you're gonna fight. All right. Now there are some Southpaw tricks. I'll link a video up there. Some things. There's a few things that I like to switch to Southpaw for. I mentioned in the other video. Another one I didn't mention is, say if I'm orthodox versus orthodox and the guy's jab is way better than mine, which it probably is because my jab sucks, I will switch to Southpaw so that I can cover that hand and remove the jab from the equation. But I'm not against switching. I think you should switch. I think you should train both sides. I've done lots of videos on training both sides. I don't know why everyone was so confused about that video. I said if you're brand new and you're learning how to fight and it's about punching and kicking people, you should stand in the correct stance. That's what that video said. A lot of people argued with a lot of things that were not said in that video, but no one ever said, hey, I'm a boxing coach or striking coach and I let guys who don't know shit pick their own stance when they start. Not really anybody said that. Jeet Kune Do, Bruce Lee, that came up. What about Bruce Lee? He was a right-handed southpaw, and in Jeet Kune Do, they lead with a strong side. Well, this might sound redundant, but like I said, I was talking about like fighting, like people that fight with punches and kicks. So now if you are like, primarily a weapons-based martial artist, there was a lot of guys commenting that, and you are only studying boxing, kickboxing, or Muay Thai to support the use of your weapon, and this is how you use your weapon, I guess you could make a case that you should want to practice all your blocking that you learn and all your kicking and punching that you learn from that stuff like this. So now that will vary from individual to individual. I do think when you learn a martial art, you should learn it in isolation, achieve a certain level of proficiency, and then incorporate your other martial arts. But, that's going to be kind of a personal thing. And if you've been training for like a long time, like some people commented, I've been doing such and such for 4 years and I've always stood that way. Like, what should I do? Or you're an idiot. If you've been doing it for a long time, that's probably just who you are, and you are kind of stuck like that. Now, about switching to kind of change up the game, a lot of guys were saying that, in sparring, they'll switch to Southpaw to confuse their opponents or, whatever. And that's kind of a thing, but I just question, at what level are we talking about? If you've been training for 3 months or 6 months and he's been training for 3 to 6 months and you switch to Southpaw and then that's it, that's the strategy, unless you have a deep understanding of why Southpaw is different and you have like spent a lot of time practicing it, once you get past a certain level, that's not enough. You can't just switch to Southpaw and now like things are better. While a lot of this stuff is subjective, there is one important thing that I think is like a non-negotiable thing. And there were quite a few guys commenting that either because of the way their class is structured or because of their trainer's instructions, they are forced to stand orthodox when they are in fact left-handed to make everything easier on their class, or they just do the same combos that the orthodox people are doing and the same drills. And that's, neither one of those is right. Your trainer should not force you to accommodate him or other people. He should learn how to teach a southpaw, and you shouldn't be doing the exact same things as everyone else. He should be able to customize or tailor the drills or the principles or the combos or whatever to make them work for southpaw, because southpaw doesn't mean just everything that orthodox does, but with the hands reversed. It's a completely different game. If your coach does that, he is a turd and he does not know what he's doing.